So I was at NJCC this weekend.
Yes, I heard you were going there.
Yeah, I'll have some stories about that. But I wanted to ask you, if I told you I saw pornography at NJCC, would you be surprised?
Let me get clarification. Pornography, like material for sale, or like you saw exhibitionists in front of you?
I saw it on someone's person, let's say.
Okay, a vendor or a patron?
A patron.
It would not surprise me in the least.
Okay. So
I wish it would.
So I was selling some stuff and we were going to do a PayPal transaction. So we were both getting out our phones, and he has a porn site pulled up as clear as day on his phone, and he's with a couple like that they're with, and she says, "Is that porn on your phone?" And he just laughs and says, "Yeah, it is." And then he says, I said, "Well, I mean, ain't no reason to be embarrassed. It isn't like you're the only one." I said, "You're just the one that didn't close your incognito window." And he said, "You know what I really like? I like the shoplifting ones." And I said, "Sadly, I know exactly what you're talking about."
You know which ones to me, like, I find like they're very few and far between, because it's like, maybe this isn't the best way to have a podcast, but when like they do like a pizza delivery guy.
Oh, old school. But
it's real. The real ones.
Okay.
Like where they have to blur the driver's face out and shit. Like,
okay.
You know, and this one, he like calls his manager and tells him that he's having like a mechanical issue. So I watch most of my
Oh, wow, that's great.
I watch most of my stuff on Reddit, right? And there is one time.
It's the strangest thing to me.
Yeah. There was one time recently where like I like opened up my phone and it just happened to be the last thing I was watching, and like the audio was on and it was like
Oh, wow. Great use of the soundboard.
But yeah, you know, I don't know.
I'll tell you another story about that. I was last job I had, there was this super right-wing Christian conservative guy. Like,
I like him already. I'm kidding.
Like, you know, like super straight-laced guy. And he was having some problems with a work computer, like a laptop. And he had the service guy come, and the guy opens it up, and it's just porn. And he's like, "Oh, I didn't do that. It's not mine. It's not mine. It's not mine."
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's what's wrong with your work computer. It's full of herpes in some direction.
Yeah. To the listeners, it's a two-man show today.
Hey, yo.
Two-man show, which we haven't had in, I can't tell you the last time it's been a two-man show here.
No. Who's running the pivot?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well.
So
we'll just leave it on the stool for Joe.
In a way, it'll be a calm before the storm that 400 ends up being.
That's right. What number are we on now?
This is 398.
Wow.
So
That's right. That's right.
Coming up. It's coming up.
It is.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to get to before we started. There is some interesting stuff in the notes today.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you. So I got one thing.
Okay.
So apparently, some people at my work have started listening to this.
Hey, people at work.
Which is surprising to me because it's not really up most people's alley, I don't think, generally speaking.
Right.
But
let's be honest, the nerd portion of our content really probably boils down about 20% of it at this point.
Yeah, you're right. But
it's a lot more rage.
Heavier on the rage. But anyway, like, you know, I told a story on here recently. And anyway, it was a real life situation that happened with another person at work that you know, and I think highly I've worked with this person for a long time, and but it got back to her. They're like, "Hey, I think this is about you."
Oh shit!
So she listened, and she was like, she said, I heard that there was an episode, so I listened, and I was like, my body temperature probably went up 13 degrees. Because like in my head, I'm like, man, what terrible shit could I have said? You know, because that is the thing about this is like, you know, it's the same, and it's not really about this. It's me anywhere really. Is like sometimes for the sake of the story. And hers was actually, I think, pretty. She said that I think I said that she had an emotional reaction. You know, or something that she took. But I used to joke with her about that anyway. Anytime that we would get into a debate, I'd be like, I don't want this to get emotional just because she's, you know. So that didn't surprise me. But no, she said you actually said some kind of things about me, and all, like, which was nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but for the listeners and for anybody else, like, you know, when you tell a story, right? if I'm telling a story about a night that my car broke down and it was snowing,
Right.
It could have been snowing fairly well, right? But when I tell the story, I'm gonna be, and you couldn't fucking see 10 feet in front.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? You gotta fucking,
You got to
it's
embellish it,
satirical
man.
in some way.
You got to
right?
make the story worth listening.
Exactly. It's like there's an art to that shit. So if I tell anything about anybody else in our workforce, use a little
kayfabe, motherfucker.
Yeah, a little kayfabe, little key fob.
No, come on, don't do it that way. Don't do it that way.
So how was your nerd week? I actually have a lot. I watched a lot of shit this week.
Good. I had a busy week. NJCC, as I mentioned earlier, from the pornography.
New Jersey Collectors Con.
New Jersey Collectors Con.
How was it?
Home of the realm. It was really fun. I went on Friday. A bunch of people came on Friday. So you remember that awful bar that was in the hotel? It was the Red, White, and Blues or some shit.
Yeah, it was like a little restaurant.
Yeah. It was trash overall.
Yeah.
Well,
fine.
They've gutted it. And it's completely different. I think it's called Infused now or something like that.
Oh, it sounds very hip in today.
Well, it does kind of have that vibe. It's got a very modern, it's, not dark or anything in there. But, me and Brink were there first, and we were hanging out at the bar, and other people roll in, and they had some long high tops. We're like, hey, you mind if we just take this table? They're like, fine. They weren't super busy. I mean, it's a freaking bar restaurant. So we sat down and started ordering some drinks. The food was freaking great. I got a burger. It was fantastic. But some of the other guys got appetizers, and we shared around. And
right.
It was great. They had, cold beer, music. They actually had a girl singing. So I think Vinny thought it was karaoke at first, and he's going to get up there.
Wow.
But she was singing everything from I Will Survive up to Green Day songs.
How was it?
She was really, really good.
Well, good for her.
She was just, had backing vocals. I did notice that her husband, I'm probably not her husband, her boyfriend was sitting at the bar.
/ manager.
Yeah, dripped in Jordan from head to toe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was
ensemble.
He was swagged out.
Good for him.
They let us set up at 6, bless their hearts. So about 6:15, I rolled down there, and me and Brink unloaded our vehicles, and 2 hours to put 3 tables worth of shit up and price it is not enough time. But I didn't even get everything priced by 8. The early bird opened. People just started handing me money, man. This is what I've told everybody. It was an old school NJCC. It was hot. It was stinky.
Robert.
It was it was crowded. People came to spend money, and they fucking spent money.
Oh, well, good.
And there's something interesting I want to mention that happened that
Please do.
It didn't happen to me, although I think they did buy something for me, but not much. There were Amazon resellers there that were coming in. They were scanning everything, checking prices.
Really?
And then buying. So they bought hundreds of dollars of stuff from Dust. They bought hundreds, I think Brink said he had Ray and Kylo Ren and stuff like that from Figure Art sealed. Stuff you're probably going to drag around for the next 12 years. Amazon dude's like, hey, I want to buy all this from you. Will you take X amount? Yep. Get rid of it.
I had a guy fucking crazy.
I had a guy buy 3 of those Mezco summer con boxes from me. 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, I did really well. And the crazy thing, Bobby, and it's funny because I think we might have talked about this before. I had a bin of Marvel Legends and Marvel Legends parts in no order whatsoever. And then I had a bin of literally broken G1 Transformer pieces from my childhood. And then I found a bag with the, the little fold-out checklist picture brochures that would come with your Transformers back in the day.
Yeah.
I probably had 20 of those. Dude, I was selling things that I considered to be junk to people who wanted it.
Good.
I had Soundwave's legs.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, they say, Christopher.
I had Soundwave's legs. I had those books. I was selling those booklets for $5 a piece. The Marvel Legends, just, hey, I said, make a pile and we'll make a deal. I was basically selling for $10 a piece.
Nice.
But I was like, I probably made $200 out of those bins that I was thinking about.
That's awesome.
So I've got a bin of car robot stuff. It's actually all separated and bagged individually that I've been not taking for years that I'm probably going to take next time we go.
Good.
Just to get rid of it. So
Robert hit me up from the event.
Oh, God. I'm sorry for whatever comes out of him going to that show in your direction. I tried to help dodge bullets for you, but at some point I knew there was no stopping him.
So he said, I've been at NJCC for 1 hour and I'm ready to go home. He said, it's nothing bad. It's nice to see everyone. He's just had it. And he said, there was a couple of funny things that happened. So I said, for one, I'm looking for this bust, this Princess Leia bust.
He showed me.
Okay. So did he show you? He put my face on it?
Of course.
That's how he replied to that. So he said, this room is already getting humid. And then he followed that up with like your basement, because fucking Skullfest has been hot as fuck here in the past. And he said, it smells like ass and old ashtrays. And then he said, it's a whirling miasma. I don't even know what that word is. There are literally air currents, ass, armpit, ashtray. Like I can see them. He said they're all Pocahontas. They're painting the colors of their ass.
Oh wow, that's a good one. So it wasn't overwhelming.
So I have a new name for it.
Okay,
the ashtray pit. If when you encounter that,
yes, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
and Robert also, I mean, he did make a critical error. He was wearing a hoodie.
Oh,
you have to know, bro. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt. I don't care what time of year NJCC is. I'm in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, just
because that's how you have to bust it out. But it was great seeing everybody. I literally on Saturday ate Chan made muffins. Brought them, so I ate like 6 or 8 muffins and some granola bars because it was so busy. I mean, it was. I made like $1,500 the first hour they were open. And I think I was around $4,500 for the show, which the horrifying thing is think, how much did I pay for all that shit? But what did somebody said, that's old money, man.
It's true.
Now it's new money.
That's true.
Whether you enjoyed it or enjoyed the inside of a tote.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you lease that shit. You know what I mean? It's
that's
like you get your enjoyment out of it. You know?
You know, it's funny, like selling at shows, and you know this from like the third time you see somebody that hadn't bought anything. I'm like, all right, man, what we need to do here? Come on. What's the obstacle? Help me help you overcome the obstacle.
I always used to do this shit where like people want to stand like 10 feet back from your table, and look at things because they don't want to talk to you. They don't want to engage. They don't want to engage. So like when I see him, I'd be like, come on, man, there's no whatever was going on at the moment here. So I'd be like, come on, man, there's no SARS here. Come on up. Yeah. Come on. There's no monkeypox here.
Oh, come on. You should probably retire that.
Step right up.
I'm going to say you should retire that phrase.
But whatever is the new thing, like who knows what it'll be next time I work a show. But whatever it is, that was like one of my go-to lean-ins.
So
I've been dusting in here.
I can smell it.
Yeah.
It smells nice in here.
I've worked from here, from Transformers to I got one more bookcase of DC stuff. It's a daunting task, man. I didn't do it last year.
Yeah.
And it's a daunting task.
I have a goal of before the middle of the year, doing something different with The Simpsons and cleaning all that because it definitely deserves it. The problem with that, it's not a problem. It's just they all literally just need a bath. Like I'm probably just going to have a tub of dirt, a tub of soap water, a tub of clean water, and a drying rack, and just trying to keep up with all their bits and baubles. Yeah, is going to be the only challenging thing for me.
It is nice to go back through it though, because like just over time they get bumped, they get nudged, and like it starts looking a little disheveled, and like just to go back and tighten everything up has been enjoyable for me, and I've been enjoying the fruits of my labor.
Did you find anything that had deteriorated or had broken?
No, but I broke something in the process so far. I've broken one thing so far. It always happens. I broke a bummer. It like a statue, a cheap statue, a Kotobukiya statue. It fell, and I should have just stopped what I was doing and picked it up. First of all, I carried it because it was sitting on top of something else. I thought I could do both.
Yeah,
that was my first error. It fell on the floor, and then I continued working instead of picking it up.
Yeah.
And I stepped on it. But sucks. You can't tell. It's currently still like.
But you know.
Yeah, I know. I'll get my wife to Gorilla Glue it.
Oh, goodness gracious. So it was a huge wrestling weekend. Actually, didn't see some stuff Friday, unbelievably, because I was at the show. Left, we got packed up. Oh, I want a door. I bought some raffle tickets, and I won something the exact value of the amount of raffle tickets I bought.
Did you?
Yeah.
What did you win?
Book of Boba Fett Black Series. I didn't have it. So
God, those knees.
Yeah, the one with the plastic cape. Actually, what's funny is I have the 3 3/4, and I think it's probably overall a better.
I wouldn't surprise. That was one of my worst figures of last year. It's the fucking. They're the ugliest knees I've ever seen on a figure.
Yeah. It's not. It's fine. I didn't have it, so it'll look good standing there.
Worth a raffle.
Yeah, worth a raffle.
The thrill of victory, at least.
Support them. Yeah. Funny story. I meant to buy raffle tickets all day, and I was walking back by Fran at the front, and I'm like, "Hey, let me get some raffle tickets." And I said, "Oh, I see you have a dark saber up there." He's like, "Oh, that's actually not in the sale. That's something I picked up for myself." I said, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Well, man, if that's why you want a raffle tickets, I'd understand." I was like, "Nah, man, it's cool. I'll go ahead and take them." So every time he went up there to do his, little microphone thing and do the drawing, I'd always yell, "Dark Saber!" He said, "Maybe next time." So got done, got packed up. I came home with 6 empty totes. I was so happy about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Consolidated a bunch of stuff down. And basically, I'm just going to put it away for next time.
Right.
And if somebody wants some of it.
Right.
G.I. Joe sold really well, too. I had a bunch of G.I. Joe.
Oh, there's doubles and... Yeah.
Crazy thing. So Duke, the original Duke, that was basically on clearance everywhere. I found one on eBay. The last one I found on eBay was $65.
Really?
So I was selling for $35.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
All that those first 5 were going pretty
I think I have some of them.
Yeah.
Like just by accident.
Just doubles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up, I don't know how many I had at one point. So,
I wanted to go.
It was a good show, man.
It was just that weekend was challenging for me. My schedule in general right now is nuts. Like between I guess I'm just reaching that point in my life with like kids activities and shit. Like between the babies in dance.
I bet you that's a riot.
Yeah. It's something else. Jana's working, and then Selena's got softball, band practice, and something else, something like coding, computer coding.
Yeah.
So like
cool.
Between those 3 things, plus my work schedule, the DMH side of life's work schedule, Skullface, and then my wife's work schedule. It's just like this month is a fucking...
It happens sometimes,
The calendar upstairs, it looks like a piñata exploded on it.
Oh, man. Yeah. But there's another show in August. August is going to be a busy month for me because that's, BotCon's that month. I think it's forgive me if I got the dates wrong. It's like the 12th of August. And then the next day on Sunday is a G.I. Joe show. It's called the East Coast G.I. Joe show.
So I work that Saturday.
I may be wrong about the date, but I think
It is a Saturday.
Okay.
12th.
Okay. So got done, said my goodbyes. We managed to take a group picture right.
I saw
There's barely anybody there. We're like, fuck. Because Jose didn't come, and he's the photo guy.
Right.
And we were all busy, man. It was crazy how busy it was. Started driving home, and Kelly called. She's like, hey, where are you? And I told her, I'm on the way. She said, some really bad storms. You're going to be driving right into them. I'm like, great. This is Saturday night. So I get to, I see a little bit of rain, and I saw some amazing lightning storms, like, way up ahead of me. But it was right in front of me, which was really cool to see that. I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm driving into it. Well, I get to, I get through the tunnel, so I get to like White Marsh, and she calls again. She's like, hey, where are you? I was like, I'm just like an hour out. I'm in White Marsh. She's like, because I thought she was calling to try to figure out what time dinner to start dinner. Right. She's like, it's hailing here. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, it's hailing here. Like giant hails falling from the sky. And it's
frogs.
The storm not yet. The storm you're driving into. I'm like, Jesus. I didn't get any hail. It barely even rained. So I guess I was just strafing the line of the storm. Get home. Kenny's going to cook breakfast for dinner. WrestleMania is coming on in like an hour.
This is just your day.
This is
heaven.
great. It's great. I'm gonna jump in the shower real quick. I'm gonna get a beer. I'm gonna drink a beer, and then we're gonna eat dinner. And then WrestleMania will start, and everything will be great. Fucking power goes out.
Oh, no.
Right as Kennedy's making omelets. Getting ready to make omelets. Comes back on in about 20 minutes. We eat. I see like half of a match. Power goes out again.
Oh, my God.
And it was out. It was on and off, but it was out till 2 o'clock. I was so man, I was having such a great day, and I guess it's still a great day. I just didn't. So I got up Saturday and I watched I got up Sunday and watched the Saturday show, and then I watched Ring of Honor, which had come on Friday, and then literally did nothing but watch wrestling on Sunday. So it ended up being an awesome weekend. WrestleMania was a mixed bag. There were some really good matches. Some things didn't quite go the way everyone wanted them to, but that's how they do these things.
Yeah.
I saw somebody break their ankle like this.
Yikes.
From the Ring of Honor show. Well, he was jumping off a ladder on top of the ring through 4 tables on the ground, and his ankle just said, "No, we're not going to do that.
Not today."
Poor kid. So, but yeah, and that's pretty much it. We close the website. Hopefully, have everything done by the end of next week. We're going to New Orleans this weekend.
This weekend?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's
just me and Kelly. Yep.
Was that on the books?
Yeah, we've had it planned.
Okay.
I mentioned it to you.
You may have. Yeah. You may have. Life's a whirlwind.
So basically, just going to go down there and pig out for 3 days. That's it.
Serious pigging out.
Piggy,
you know what I mean? I remember I was like, I was going to go to somebody's house and I was going to crash there. Mm-hmm. And Laura was giving me a bunch of shit about it. She was like, you having a little sleepover? And I was like, yeah, I'm just going to crash there. And she's like, what are you guys going to do? Pig out?
That's great. And meat lovers pizza, please.
Anyway, so you watch wrestling. I watched some baseball this past week because we've been watching it as a family.
Yeah. So but actually, I forgot the Star Wars shit, but we'll talk about that anyways.
Yeah.
I think that was the lesson. But baseball, so they changed some rules.
Yeah, the pitcher clock.
And the bases are bigger or something.
Oh, are they?
There's like 4 or 5 new rules, but I know the pitch clock seems to be the one.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
because the games are moving faster. But it was just funny because like everybody's like watching it and like kind of enjoying it now, like even myself included.
Yeah.
And it's all because Selena wanted to watch it.
I got you.
And so we're watching it, and it was the Astros and the White Sox.
Okay, I've heard of those teams.
And Jaina has become a bit of an Astros fan, I think because somebody that she likes at school, their father used to be a Major League Baseball player and played for the Astros at some point.
Flex?
Yeah, no shit.
Flex.
But be that as it may, the White Sox were like up terrible, and then the fucking Astros ended up beating them, and she had been talking a whole bunch of shit the whole game, so it was pretty fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it more than I ever thought I would, and like my whole family's enjoying it more than I ever thought.
That seems
they
very
would.
strange.
It is very strange.
I could not imagine I can't get my kids to get together to watch anything, much less a sporting event.
Yeah, it's very strange. So anyway, other than that, I have a ton of shit to talk about. I had a pretty busy nerd week. So all right, we'll start here. I finished the show Shrinking on Apple TV.
Wow, you binged that.
Fucking, I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop.
Remind me again, who's in this one?
Jason Segel.
Okay.
And Harrison Ford.
Okay.
We saw the season finale, and like it was it was heartfelt. Like it's a comedy, but it's got some drama in it, and it's got some like heartfelt moments.
Yeah.
And, it's really I really highly recommend it to anyone. It's I'm not a big TV show guy, and I fucking love. I loved it.
You watch a lot of TV shows, dude.
Do I?
I mean, any show that comes on HBO is a TV show.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I feel like there's people that like watch TV shows like every night.
Well, that's true.
I guess I watch like the Marvel shit, but I watch it because of this. I probably would have stopped, and the same with Star Wars.
Right.
But anyway, I feel like there's a lot of shit out there that like people love that's like part of the culture of America, TV show wise.
I like The Office.
Well, no, because I watched that and then quite enjoyed it almost as much as I enjoyed the British version. But I like this is the stuff like like Ozark, Mad Men, Nip Tucks, shit like that. Like shit like it was just part ER or what was that?
ER,
like shit that was just like a part of.
Like Breaking Bad.
So I did catch that one, but for the most part, like shit that's like a part of like it becomes part of the fabric of American culture. Like I just miss out on because I was not interested. But like, while I'm on the topic of kids, that wasn't about kids, but Shrinking is great. I was on Virginia in the baseball shit. So I did a versus of those 2 Jetfires, right?
Yep.
And Jaina came down and was like, she liked the Fans Toys one and did not like the Takara one. And I was like, okay. And she always wants to give like a little bit more opinion as to why. Sometimes I leave it in, sometimes I cut it out. Sometimes I've already turned the camera off when she starts going.
She never knows, right?
But she was like, the other one being the Takara one, the gray is too dark. And I was like, okay. And she's like, cut that out. And I was like, I've already turned the camera off. And she's like, okay, God, I don't want to get in trouble. I was like, why would you get in trouble? She's like, I can't just say somebody's face is too dark. I was like, Dana, nobody's going to view that in that way. She's like,
clip it out of context.
But I only say it because like her face, she like was like flushed.
Yeah.
You know? The baby had a nightmare. Like, not that she's never had one before, but it's the first one that I can remember. Where she said her body fell off her head. And
that was what the nightmare was?
Yeah, like she was in bed and her body fell off the bed, but her head stayed on the bed, and then her body got up and just started walking down the steps, and her head was like, she's like, and I'm yelling to it to come back, but it can't hear me. And
oh my goodness. So it went from a first person to a third person, and you see your body walk away. That's kind of horrifying.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I wanted to say that during the football shit, I mean the baseball shit. Mm-hmm. We found out because we went to bed. It was like late, so the next morning I said, "Do we know who won?" Mm-hmm. And Jana said, "Oh yeah, the Astros won. They slaughtered them." And I was like, "Damn!" And she was like animals,
like animals."
She said, "Not just the women. I mean, not just the men, but the women and the children too." She said all that.
That's great.
Yeah. Let's see. So I watched Tetris.
Oh, I didn't know it had come out.
On Apple TV.
Apple TV for the win, I guess.
It's in running for me for movie of the year.
Really?
Fucking amazing. I was on the fucking edge of my seat. I was emotionally invested. I almost fucking cried at certain parts. Like, it is fucking amazing. Like,
wow.
And I'm sure it's dramatized, right? But if even a shred of it is fucking true, it is... It might be the most amazing video game story ever told. Dude, it ties into the fucking Cold War. It's fucking nuts, this shit.
I'll have to check that out.
But like a big part of it, I don't want to spoil it for anyone because I want people to go see it, but a big part of it was gaining and it's funny because it's like one of the type of topic that Nerd Rage sort of tends to dive into, but like it was about gaining rights to it. Mm-hmm. And this guy created it kind of as a hobby in Russia. And then people wanted to buy the rights to it. And then it became a thing of like, well, who has the arcade rights? Who has the computer rights? Who has the console rights? Who has the handheld rights as handheld was becoming a thing? And the interesting thing about it was like, you know, at the time, everything is so fucking new that like the Russians initially signed over rights to computers, but it included consoles. They didn't understand they were different, you know, and it's also because their shit was all closed off and they were shut off from the rest of the world.
Yeah, they didn't know what was happening.
But like it got to a point where they were like they were basically like, this game could mean the difference in the future of our country.
Yeah.
You know, because from the amount of money it was going to bring in.
Exactly.
You know, and it, like, it's just, and I got to thinking about it because I was like, man, I remember being a kid, you know, with a Game Boy. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is weird that it's so Russian. Like the music was Russian. The the buildings, the buildings that were like in the background were Russian. Yep. And like, if you think about it, like as Americans growing up specifically during that time, like Russian culture was not anything that America really dabbled in. No, we whatsoever.
Just like knew from, you know, there was a movie or something.
Yeah. So it's like, it always seemed strange to me, but now like, it's like, dude, it's just like this dude that like basically got the rights to it. Mm-hmm. Like he's just a good fucking dude, and he's got balls as big as his fucking room because he was just running into Moscow. Like, nice. You know, these motherfuckers at some point are like trying to kill him and everything. Yeah. You know, and he's just going hard. It's got everything you want. It's got fucking emotional investment. It's got action, car chases, fucking. It's got real drama. It's got suspense. It's It's shot well. It's shot interesting. Like during the car chase and shit, like if a car bumped into something, like it like glitches out like a video game, and like,
oh really?
Yeah, like
that's cool.
It's I can't recommend it enough. It is the best movie I've seen this year.
So what's your first memory of Tetris? Is it on the Game Boy? We had a family computer growing up. I have no idea what it was, but I remember my dad had bought Tetris, and it was on. We had Tetris and Mahjong.
I don't even know that one.
It's a matching tile game. Joe would know.
Okay,
it's an Asian thing. You've never heard of Mahjong?
Not off the top of my head. Man.
Okay. Anyways, it's just a matching tile game. But Yeah, we would play Tetris forever. And then we got a Game Boy, or I think my brother got a Game Boy and had Tetris on it. And we, I think that was the only game he had for a while, so we just kind of passed it around.
Yeah.
Of course, the Game Boy, you got your Game Boy, you got your light that you have to have over the top of it, and the external speakers, and the magnifying glass.
And then there was like a color
Game Boy Color.
Yeah.
And
but anyway, like I never had any of that. I just had the original Game Boy. But what's funny is I think my dad got it like for the family. But they were saying even in the movie, they were like, it was gonna come packaged with Super Mario Land.
Okay.
But they changed it because they were like, this guy basically sold Nintendo on, look, you can market this thing to children or you can market this thing to everyone.
Right.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
And it is like Atari almost got the rights to it. Like it is fat. Like the business end of Tetris is fucking amazing.
I guess I'll have to get an apple to.
You might say there's 4 squares to it in many ways.
Oh, hey yo.
And I also I noticed things like I was watching it, like, just how much of the movie is shot in squares. Like, they might shoot a scene, through a window, but it's like now it's framed in this square, and it's like the square is like a repeating theme to the whole movie. It's pretty.
It takes a lot of thought and process to pull that out, man.
But yeah, best movie I've seen, not only this year, best movie I've seen in some fucking time. Wow. Like 10 out of 10.
Awesome.
Yeah. There was one question I wanted to ask you. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, hey, I'm here.
Have you seen that they're doing the head sculpt for Lady Thor, the Mighty Thor, whatever they call it, Natalie Portman's Thor? Mm-hmm. Have you seen it for Hot Toys? I saw this morning that they had, or sometime this week, they had put out an updated version of her, Shuri, and Tom Holland. Mm-hmm. What about it? It looks amazing. I think it looks good. I think it looks better than the Padme. Well, my thing is, it's like, why the fuck is Padme getting the shorter end? Well, maybe they'll go back to the drawing table. Yeah, because has it been about a year since that went up for pre-order? I mean, I'll be honest, I don't pay a lot of attention on the Marvel Hot Toys anymore. So yeah, I'm in the same boat, but I just haven't hit my feed today. Yeah, and I was like, God damn, looks fucking good. Yeah, Tom Holland looked amazing. I didn't see the. Sure, I just saw the image of the 3 of them, but I didn't see hers. But it looks good too. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Hot Toys has been doing a lot of weird shit recently, but you know what? The pushback is coming. They put up that mechanical Black Panther, the transforming Black Panther thing. Yeah. They put the comments is like 90-10. What the fuck are you doing? Right. Like that to me is an indicative of at least like people saying like, man, like, come on, like there's a lot of characters that I think most people want Marvel Hot Toys, DC Hot Toys, and specifically Star Wars Hot Toys to cover. We still don't have a fucking 3PO. Right. I mean, it's insane. And there's not a Poe Dameron. Not a Poe Dameron. Which, like, I wouldn't buy a Poe Dameron, but just the fact that is it. He's a main character and he's done some real side piece action in that. There's a Dummies conversation that's publishing Friday about media's impact on collecting, right? Because, I got to think, like, looking around this room, and I was like, fuck, man, like, how much of this shit is just from media from the past 10 years? Right. And it's interesting because, like, it got me thinking a bit about that Shazam 2 movie, right? Like, there's pretty much the movie and a handful of Marvel McFarlane figures. And that's it. That's it. Yeah. Like, no Hot Toys, no there's no Fig Arts, there's no Mafex, there's no nothing. It's like Fig Arts is doing a Black Adam figure, and Hot Toys is doing a Black Adam, and that's it. It's like, it's very strange to me. I don't know, man. Hot Toys strategies, I don't know. I mean, I kind of put them, with Mezco kind of in the same bucket as far as, like the Robert Pattinson Batman. Yep, here's a pre-order for it. It'll be out in a couple years. Right. And I get the fact that how long it takes for the development and how much, if they had started on that 2 years before, as soon as they had the, how much that's going to change over time. But you think they would like, hey, let's start dialing this in now. Yeah. Unless it has something to do with, keeping the lid on things. Like Joker. Why did we not get a Joaquin Phoenix Joker? Well, there was no merch from that. But apparently he didn't want any merch. How does he have control over that? Maybe he signed it in his deal. I don't know. There's been there was a quarter scale.
Was there a statue?
Yeah,
Okay.
Prime 1 or XM, one of them did it. But like,
there hadn't been any figures at all.
Nope.
No official figures.
Yeah.
There's been some third-party stuff.
Right. And there actually, I looked at one. It was really quite good. You know, I guess in many ways you get what you fucking deserve.
It's funny how it works out.
And then the only other things that I have, I have a new guy at work.
Okay, so I remember you had mentioned that there was scuttlebutt in the group chat about the comings and goings. And is he an Android or an iPhone?
iPhone. Thank God. Yeah.
Thank God.
Dodged that bullet. You know what I mean?
That's right.
But he's very young, very new, very inexperienced with a broomstick. But I think he's a good fit.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like I think he's cool. You know, and like that's just being able to take a joke and shit like that is very important to my particular crew.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm optimistic, but he's got a long way to go, and I'm the one that's got to pave the road for him. So, Bad Batch.
Yes.
I'll give you my rundown.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this I wrote right after I watched.
And you watched both episodes, right?
Yes, but not back to back. I watched them 24 hours apart.
I was about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bad Batch. I said I don't care.
Okay.
I would have after Clone Wars, but I don't. I also that's about the loss of Tech.
Okay.
Right? Like it didn't hit me emotionally. I think because I've spent 2 seasons of not caring about him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I should care. I should be emotionally invested, right? And I think that's a problem on the writing end, is my theory on that. And then, but I have a pro as well.
Boy.
I said, I want whoever did the score to the last episode to take over the music of Star Wars completely moving forward. It was the first time that Star Wars felt like an emotionally compelling music since John Williams has stepped away.
Interesting.
So I did like the music a lot and hope that person continues. And that's what I got. What do you got?
So, I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of the, kind of inside of the Empire. At the table, you got Krennic at the table.
Yeah, that
and
was nice.
Yeah. There's a lot of other people who were, named characters. And the guy who's voicing this scientist guy with his very soft, to me, it's very much like the way they portrayed Thrawn. In Rebels.
Yeah.
Just this very methodical, hands together.
Yeah.
Saying what needs to be said. I thought all that stuff was great. Tech dying, like, it was a bummer. But I'm probably the same as you. I haven't gained enough attachment to these characters. I felt bad for the girl, to be honest, more than anything. That because she seemed to have.
She went through something with him. Right.
They had somewhat bind. And it was something I saw or read. It was, you always can tell when they're going to kill off a character out of a group because it's all of a sudden there's, a lot more focus. You think about there's 2 or 3 like tech, like the racing one, the cave. But then again, you got Echo back and they're kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, I agree.
They're kind of interchangeable. So,
and I feel like, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff in that show that I don't feel like it's necessarily earned. Like even getting Echo back, it's like, that's it. We just, come on.
Yeah.
Forget, like, it's forgiven,
Right.
Like,
and then, of course, the Saw Gerrera nod.
Yeah,
and I thought that was great.
Cool.
I thought it was cool because he's there. Fuck you, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yep.
That's it. That's all. You don't see him. There's no long, drawn-out process. But, I mean, the more Saw Gerrera I can get to, a happier I am.
Same.
I'm definitely in love with him in that character role. And the beat at the end where the girl's like... Or the scientist is like, I'm your sister. I'm like, yeah, well, I think it's the same voice actress. It sounds the same, but
yeah.
Makes you think, wow, how many freaking Bad Batch clones did they make that weren't, atypical to the FET template?
Yeah. I thought that was interesting. But I do think, like, had Tech died in the first episode of the first season, after watching the 3 or 4 part miniseries from Clone Wars, I would have been more emotionally invested. I just feel like I was more connected to him then than I am now.
So after the end of Clone Wars section of it, yeah. I mean, I talked a lot this weekend about that with people, and I initially stopped watching the first season because I just couldn't get mad. And I ended up watching it before the second season came out because it looked to me like the second season was going to be better.
Yeah, and it is.
And I think I don't know if it redeemed the series overall. I know you have very strong opinions about it, but and at one point in time it was just going to be 2 seasons. Yeah. But I guess now the way they've left this, that's either going to get they're going to do a 3rd season or it'll be another show. Mm-hmm. But I want to know what happens to these. We have to still explain somehow Palpatine returned. And strangely enough, the Bad Batch and the Mandalorian are literally like, and no one can see what I'm doing. Mandalorian's kind of going at a straight up trajectory, and the Bad Batch is at a 45 to get to that point from a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah. And I think that when the dust settles on this, I think the second season is better than the first season.
I think it is too.
Because I think there's probably 4 episodes in the second season that I enjoyed watching,
and 2 of them were the Crosshair episodes.
Me at least. Yeah, the last 2.
Okay.
The one with that planet that had
oh, that planet.
You know the one I'm speaking of.
The green one. I don't know
the planet where they had pushed back against becoming under the New Republic's control, and that one gave him his word, and then the stormtrooper fucking shot her.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite episode still to this date. And then the one where the other Echo episode where he's talking to Rex and all that, those 4 episodes to me are good episodes. Yeah. But then there's a whole, it's like 15 fucking episodes, and the first season's like fucking 10, 15 episodes, and it's like I don't know if the juice is worth the bloody squeeze. And then Mando. So I'll read you what I got for this. I wrote down notes. I said the heavy Mando speech should have been a huge moment for him and Mando becoming brothers. That's the speech where he's like, this man has, I said, but it's not because of piss poor writing for 3 seasons. Like they haven't focused, they haven't put enough energy into that relationship for it to pay out in any way that it was like, God, like gives me the feels.
Well, I mean, you think about that relationship, it was fuck you. And then it was, I'm going to help you, as I fly beside you with my jetpack. And then, I'm going to take the Darksaber from you. And now it's, we got to help it. But he did save his kid and all that.
100%.
Also, question, what does heavy Mandalorian reproduction look like? Are you allowed to take off everything but your helmet?
Yes. And socks.
You have to leave your socks and your helmet on. And those socks you've probably had on for years. What's the undergarment situation in Star Wars? Nobody's ever talked about that.
No, but I know that Princess Leia was definitely not wearing a bra in episode 4. Right.
Yes.
That was very obvious.
Yes. And there's also a reason they cast her in white.
Yeah. But yeah, it should have, like you said, it's just really those few handful of beats with those 2.
But I think the point of that was, I guess he gained his respect saving his kid. That whole exercise cemented him as I agree, important member to do what he wants.
But I think if they had leaned into that a bit more, instead of say giant eggs from a monster that they steal from a Jawa or shit like that along the way, had they leaned into that, the Mandalorian culture and all that, like when he finally says like, no, I'm drawing a line in the sand and I'm drawing it with this guy here. We don't see eye to eye, but like when that beat happened, like it should have been a moment, but they didn't put in enough work for it to pay out. But I do have a pro to it. I said, I love that the Mandalorian fight scene in the city at first, because it does get a little wonky. But when they siege the city, it's a fucking massacre.
Yeah.
It's not like they're taking losses. They're not even taking shots. They're just coming in and mopping the floor with
the pirates. Yeah.
Then that one guy has the big gun and it sort of flips the tables on him, which I wasn't actually a fan of because I enjoyed watching. Like, these are people that are like, they've been bred and trained and brought up in combat.
Right.
And this like ragtag group of pirates. I was enjoying the Mandalorians just coming down and just saying, like, no, everybody dies.
Right.
And matter of fact, do you have any wives or pets? Because they're going to die too.
Right.
And let's see what else I said in here. I said, here's a conversation. Here's a theory that I have now.
Calm down, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Calm down.
I guess my rubber band. This is my theory on Star Wars moving forward.
Okay.
All aliens should speak an alien language. Period.
Yoto.
Period.
Yoto.
It never. They used to, right? 4, 5, and 6. They used to, but then episode 1 you had Jar Jar and Boss Nass and all that shit, and then episode 2 you had fucking Dexter Jettster and all that shit. But there was still, at least in the prequels, there was a blend. Some could speak English, some couldn't. And now it's like we've gotten to this point where all the aliens are just speaking English, and it looks fucking weird. They should go back to like speaking their fucked up languages because
wow, sensitivity training in Star Wars,
because it feels more like Star Wars.
I see what you mean.
You know, it feels goofy when like the guy from Pirates of the Caribbean is like talking in English, like
right.
You know, like so that's one of my complaints. They should all speak in their foreign languages. It just works better.
Okay.
And I had this other little moment. So I started watching the most recent episode of Mandalorian, and I fell asleep on it.
Okay. Right.
So the next morning I woke up and I was like, fuck, let me go back and watch it. So I drugged the little, bar back to watch it. And when I opened my phone, I just went to the episode that was on. Mm-hmm. So I just clicked that one. It was the last episode in the line, right? Which would be the most recent. And as I'm scrubbing, I see Cara Dune in the footage I'm scrubbing. And I was like, what the fuck? And my heart's like, I was like, is this, because I love that character. Yeah. And like, and then I hit play like real quick, just like, and then I was like, oh shit, it went back to season 1 after I finished season 2, and I was like, god damn it. So I had this like little like letdown moment. So your thoughts?
I enjoyed the episode. I thought
it's definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah, there's a lot. They're tying a lot of stuff together, and so we had the episode on Coruscant with Pershing and I can't remember her name. I'm gonna call her Moff Gideon's assistant that's now reformed or whatever. Mm-hmm. By the way, in that symbol they wear on that little thing, it's a A. It's like the Scarlet Letter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an A, so people know that they're from
former Imperial.
They're in that program. I don't remember what
like their reassignment.
Yeah, reassimilation. With the Ranger coming in and saying, I've been telling you guys there's something going on out here. And of course, I love the Tim Meadows cameo. The black guy that's in The Office. It's Tim Meadows from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I know him from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, he's been in a ton.
And from fucking
Walk Hard.
Walk Hard.
You don't want no part of this shit.
Want no parts of this shit. I wish he had said that when they're like, look, we need to go to this planet Navarro because they're like taking over. Like, look, we don't want no parts of that shit.
But the fact that like he found the R5 ratted out the Mandos,
that was cool.
Yeah, and he shows up, and I just thought it was well put together. And then at the end, of course, they find the transport that Gideon was supposedly in, and there's a piece of Beskar in it. So I'm interested to see how that goes. And I don't know, man. I just thought it was a good storytelling episode, and it also tied together a lot of things. I did think it was goofy as hell when Moff Gideon and 28 people ran off to the wilderness. I'm like, where's everybody else? There's more than 28 people here.
Yeah.
And then the little guys from I don't know their names. The ones like the one that made C-3PO talking Sith. Those guys are funny to me. I think.
Yeah, they're for good fun.
But I don't think we have. What is that? Was that episode 6? Maybe
something like 5? That.
Not too much more left. I still find it odd that they double stack these 2 Star Wars shows.
Yeah, I do too.
I just found it very strange that why would you not separate them?
What do they have next for the Marvel? What's the next Marvel show?
It is Secret Invasion, I think.
Oh, that's right. We have a trailer.
I watched that.
I have to watch that still before we talk about it today. But I mean, that takes us into notes.
There's a lot of trailers.
There was. There's also some weird stuff that I figured just because we had the time.
Let's get weird
today. Yeah, we might as well just get weird. So this Trump shit, right? I only mention it. I know people anytime anything like this, brother, like, I listen to nerd stuff to get away from real life. Yeah, well, calm down. I only mention it because it's like it's a historical thing, right?
Yeah.
But like I just want to say this, like I do consider this 100% political theater.
Oh,
like,
you're
nothing
right.
is going to come out of this.
Oh, this is all a show.
Like he took the campaign funds and paid off Stormy Daniels to keep her mouth shut. And she fucking didn't keep up her bloody end of the bargain.
I don't think she signed it. Her NDA has been violated.
But like, I listen to like, for those that know me, I listen to We the Fifth Column, not the bearded guy. but Camille Foster, Matt Welch, and Michael Moynihan. And they were talking about it a bit, and they were basically like, look, this thing that they're accusing him of, allegedly, that he probably more than likely did, is a misdemeanor in most places and has a statute of limitations of like 2 years. But in New York, it's longer, so they could try him in New York for it, right? And they're like, but it's probably not going to lead to anything. If they really wanted him, they should go after the shit he said about Georgia, about like find me the votes and all that shit. That's fucking tamper. That's like a fucking big deal.
Yeah.
But so I consider all of this just to be political theater and get everybody all riled up just for fucking nothing to, So I only bring it up to say it's historical and also to suggest to everyone to calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it'll amount to much of anything.
A win for Paltrow. So
man,
Paltrow was awarded her $1. I don't believe this. I think she definitely hit them.
You think so?
I do. Because like her story to me from the outside, and I say all this, it's all predicated on bullshit, right? But it just doesn't sound believable. Like, you're talking about like somebody, like, I mean, I have, let me just get the button ready. I have skied before, and I'm by no means an expert, but I do know the amount of control it would take to like come up and get that close to her to possibly even feel it, for her to feel as though she was being sexually assaulted. Like, this guy better be in the fucking Olympics to be doing, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't really believe her story, but
well, I saw it about it on TV a couple of times. So apparently, this guy was claiming that she hit him and she was suing for $300,000, and he said that it caused him emotional and mental stress. And then the defense came and listed all these exotic destination vacations he had gone, where there was hiking and riding animals and all. Did you go here at this date? Yeah. Did you? So how has this affected your mentals? And he's also like in his late 70s. And I think, honestly, it was
so I think that's true too.
I think this guy had an interaction with her. I don't know what occurred, but he immediately said, I could probably get some money out of it.
No.
And that's what happened.
So for me, both things can be true.
You're right.
I don't think that he deserves $300,000 by any stretch of the imagination. I think all that's a bunch of nonsense. But I don't think that her story is true.
I'm wondering how many. I'm wondering if her people had said, "Look, we'll give you $100,000 just to be done with it."
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
I mean, even $300,000 at a certain point isn't a lot of money for somebody at her level. It's. I say that based on what she does and for a living and the company she owns, I would imagine $300,000 would be,
I'm not the most skilled person in the world in regard to shutting the fuck up, but I would learn to shut the fuck up for $100,000. That's fair. So yeah, I just mentioned because we brought it up last week, and then the wheels on the bus. So this happened, and Phil put in our notes because we all have kids, and mine take the bus. Do yours take?
Yep.
Yeah,
they do.
So let's see. The viral video that shows Amherst bus driver Jackie Miller using profanities and yelling at students has been viewed millions of times on social media. Now she's sharing her side of the story. The particular day was challenging, to say the least, because it started the minute the core group of students got on the bus. She said a group of kids on the bus constantly act out, purposely instigating her for the last 2 years, and she finally had enough. I'm sorry for the way this went down. I truly am. I do apologize for my actions, but I won't take it back. She told the news that she suffers from asthma and strong fragrances will trigger her attacks. One student yelled that another had sprayed perfume, which led to what you see in the video. She said just last month this led to an attack. She sprayed perfume on the bus, and I had a horrible asthma attack. I had to stop the bus, grab my inhaler, and try to get my lungs to open up again. I had all the kids open up the windows. They know this. This is a plight of all bus drivers. We are threatened in the worst possible sense of the word. We are treated with such lack of respect. So the video, which you can see above, has garnered outpouring of support to include a Vermilion apparel company, some of what she said on a T-shirt. We all kind of just felt for her in that moment. We've all had bad days. So I'm going to play it real quick.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard this.
This is an Amherst bus driver.
Amherst, New York?
I don't know.
Which word you expect me to take? Give me the perfume.
Is there a video there? Let me see.
I didn't do anything.
I can freaking smell it.
I didn't do anything. I didn't spray anything. sick of you. I'm sick of all the I'm done with it. I'm gonna start kicking some serious. Do you hear me?
Yes.
My foot's gonna be so far up your it's gonna dangle out your
Wow.
done with you. That phone in your bag now. You give it to me.
All right, fine.
Done.
It's going in.
God dang it! I can smell it. I'm allergic to the.
Open the
I didn't
backpack.
spray anything.
It's right,
They just like to
it's right in the big
So
backpack. It's in
Oh,
the
wow.
big zipper.
You like to start too.
Anyway, we're only halfway through the video.
Yeah.
I think we get the point. But like, so what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I would hate to be a bus driver. Let me rephrase that. I would hate to be a bus driver for high school. I think middle school, elementary school, you could probably manage it pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, Kennedy and Charlie both say the bus driver's mean. I'm like, no doubt they should be.
Right.
Yeah, they're not there to be your friend. They're there to transport you safely.
And there's a shortage. Like, there's a shortage of
Yeah,
bus
there
drivers.
is. I mean, the same guy I think's been picking Charlie up every morning for, I don't know, every day I take him out and walk him to the bus and wave to the bus driver. I don't know, man. I feel for the bus drivers. I feel for anybody in education. I've seen the videos of just the, absolute disrespect and beratement. And,
Yeah.
I saw one teacher, it was like, if somebody was mouthing off, he's like, you can leave. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, you can get out of my class. Where should I go? I don't really care. You can go to the principal and tell him why you're not in class, but you're not going to stay in my class anymore.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I just can't imagine, man.
So it's funny. I grew up in a populated area and in a very diverse area. But the middle school that I got kicked out of, my wife knows someone, I'll say, that was a teacher for so many years and did 1 year at the school that I went to and quit
Teaching.
Yep, I'm out. Fuck all this.
I mean, there's a teacher shortage now too. There's a substitute teacher shortage.
Yeah. So like, here's the thing is that like, there's a weird phenomenon, I'll say, Christopher, that happened sometime in the past, I'd say 10 to 15 years, where in my day, right, like back in where we fucking had to work hard and
Walk uphill barefoot in the snow both ways.
which wasn't the case. I had a lot of luxuries of my day, but like in my day, I feel like parents in my day were like, if you got in trouble or something happened like this, the immediate first response from parents was, what did you do?
And now it's, I can't believe the teacher talked to you like that, or the school, but yeah. And you're right in that, I a lot of teachers on TikTok complaining about these or reenacting phone calls they have with, and they say parents just, nobody wants to hear it anymore. The parents, they're like, no, you're not going to treat my kid like that. Like then send them to private school, or or come sit in the class with me every week.
I just wonder what happened. When did parents start saying like, my kid is perfect? Like, you spend enough time with these motherfuckers, you should know that they're fucking hell on wheels when they want to be.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, and it's like, and I want to hear my kid's side of the story, but like my blame is going, I am trusting. Now there's some shitty teachers, of course,
Sure.
but generally speaking, my default is going to be to trust the teachers and trust the bus drivers.
Right.
And then if something comes up that's overwhelmingly conflicting with that, then I'll have to sort it out. Right. But like, generally speaking, like, I've had my kids say like, she was mean to me. She told me to, shut my mouth, and I'm like, well, what were you doing? She's like, well, we were talking about, well, you should shut your fucking mouth.
Were you supposed to be talking?
You should shut your fucking mouth.
Then you got everything you deserve.
Yeah. She
probably
told
got
you.
off easy.
Yeah. You're lucky she didn't say what I would say.
Yeah.
Because I would tell you to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
So like, I just don't know what's happened. But like, I don't know. There's even like a thing in there. There's like a whole, aside from the system, right, of just like, respecting your teachers, respecting, your bus drivers. There's a whole other conversation of just respecting your elders.
Yeah.
Of like, I always like, I had my fair share of problems. I went to 3 high schools in 4 years. Like I was in the mix. But I was never disrespectful to adults in that way. Like I was always like, I got in trouble for fucking beefing with kids and getting in, and being a clown. But like, if I was outside and my neighbor was like, "Hey, clean that up," I'd be like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir."
I mean, I grew up the same way.
Like, I just don't understand it, man. I don't understand what has happened culturally.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a very good question. Maybe our loyal audience here can chime in with some insight or write in with some insight.
It's just like that dude that you know what I mean? Just like are the same generation, like, you know, scared to death to like let their kids go outside without like being right there, or, you know, like
well, I think part of it is as the world got bigger, the world got smaller, and you know, you used to not hear about every kid that went missing. You used to not hear about every, you know, now you do.
Yeah.
Or you can. The information's easily available. You know, living here, you wouldn't necessarily, whatever's in the Portland newspaper, you probably wouldn't ever see that.
Right.
And now it's probably going to be somebody's going to share it. Oh, this is happening all over.
Yeah. I don't know. Just interesting. Then there was Mammoth Meatballs.
Hey.
Have you heard about this?
I don't think so.
So meatballs have been made with mammoth DNA created. Meatballs made with mammoth DNA created by Australian food startup.
Blimey.
Woolly mammoth remains with fur and tissue still intact are regularly found entombed in Arctic permafrost. Their discovery was have allowed scientists to sequence the mammoth genome and learn intriguing details about the lives of these extinct ice giants. It's now some of that information is being used to grow an approximation of mammoth meat in a lab. Val, an Australian cultured meat startup, has made what is described as a mammoth meatball. The project's goal, according to the company, is to draw attention to the potential of cultured meat to make eating habits more planet-friendly. On Tuesday, the meatball would join the collection at such and such, a museum of science and medicine in the Netherlands. We need to start rethinking how we get our food. My biggest hope for the project is that a lot more people across the world begin to hear about cultured meat.
You know, that's all well and good, and I'm down for that, but I don't know that I need mammoth DNA involved. I don't know what that... I mean, it's cool that you could do that, but how do we not know there's something in that...
I just checked to make sure that shit wasn't published on April 1st.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Season. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, so the question is, would you try it?
Probably, yeah. Given the opportunity.
I need more time.
I don't think Omaha Steaks is going to be carrying mammoth meatballs anytime soon.
I need more time.
Yeah.
I need to know, like, you know, so somebody doesn't have like an after effect of eating mammoth meat.
Well,
it's like, that's what we needed the appendix for.
Exactly. Yeah. Bobby, I just have a strange feeling neither you or I will be on the first group of people to try mammoth meatballs.
No, yeah, you're probably right. I'm not actually, you might find this odd, probably won't. I'm not a big meatball fan in general.
Really?
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
So if you're somewhere and they have spaghetti and meatballs, show me the size of a meatball you would enjoy. Like what diameter? So like a 1-inch meatball?
Yeah.
You're not down for like the 4 inch?
No. If it's that, I'll break it up.
Oh, I always cut it in.
But some people like break out, like take a fork slice of it and then mix it in with a forkful.
Yeah.
You know, and I get that because you're controlling the ratio.
Sure.
But I just, or like even a meatball sub, looking at it, like I'm not taking a big bite of a meatball like that. No.
I like a meatball sub.
Yeah. I like the flavor and taste. I just don't like the texture of all that ground meat in one bite.
In one bite.
Yeah.
It's a ground meat sandwich.
Yeah. Let's see. Next one is Wheel of Misfortune.
Uh-oh.
So, Wheel of Fortune host Pat Sajak snaps after extremely not safe for work puzzle guess. So I am going to try to find video footage.
So while you're doing that, I'm going to tell everyone that I watch Wheel of Fortune probably 3 nights a week. They had WWE on there. WWE was like partnered with people on there. I have noticed a lot more people, how do I say this? It's appear to be on the spectrum on Wheel of Fortune, and they're often very good at Wheel of Fortune.
Really?
Yes.
So let's see what it says here. For the first throwdown, I'm just trying to see what the... Okay, so the pair were spinning the puzzle under the category Fun and Games. They guessed 3 L's in Tracina, then announced playing with balls. No, Pat swiftly said. Still time, he continued. Playing with, but then sighed with nothing left to give. And then wrestler Xavier.
Oh, this was on the wrestling show.
Could be seen bursting out laughing with his teammate. Eventually, Mike and Xavier guessed it correctly as playing with dolls. Pat says, mercifully, we're done.
That's great. He's gotten... I'll tell you, Pat. I don't know how old he is. He's probably close to 70, to be honest. But he has gotten snippy in his older age.
Yeah.
Like, he'll tell people, but if there's a blonde woman on there, he definitely, you can tell that's his type, because he's a lot flirtier with a blonde woman than he is anywhere else.
Yeah, it's it always takes me back to that fucking South Park episode that I won't even go into detail about because it's too charged of an episode. But have you ever seen it with the Wheel of Fortune bit?
Man, if I have, I don't remember. It's so much South Park.
It's fucking. It's insane. But like, it's one of those things where it's like. It plays to the playing with balls, idea. So Funko Dump. I don't know if you've heard about this. Hundreds of Funko Pops found at landfill after news the $35 million worth would be destroyed.
I heard that they were planning to do it. I didn't know that they had actually done it. But it's a E.T. video game all over again.
After the company revealed that it would be taking a tax write-off in 2023 by getting rid of overstock product and dumping it into the trash. How much trash? To the tune of approximately $30 million to $36 million. God damn. It's finding its way into landfills across the country. Revealing a video found on Reddit that featured thousands of in-box Funko products going to a dump. It was just a right place, right time situation. Our main reason for releasing this video is to showcase corporate wastefulness and greed at the expense of consumers. They were found in a landfill in Washington. They were, in fact, all sealed. They all held Funkoverse game products of Nightmare Before Christmas, some sort of anime that I don't know how to pronounce, Harry Potter, and Jurassic Park. Why did this happen? Net sales increased 29% for the entire fiscal year of 2022, topping out at $1.3 billion. However, their net income decreased 108%. Funko also confirmed they have a total debt of $245.8 million, a 42% increase compared to the year prior. Like any company with a lot of debt and not quite as many assets, some cost-cutting measures needed to happen. So on top of that, Funko confirmed that they had a unique problem, notably that they have a lot of inventory sitting in storage and warehouses that is costing them money. Enough money that destroying it would be cheaper than paying to store it. Plus, there's the benefit of the tax write-off they get from destroying it.
Wow. So, that's interesting. That's basically 3,600,000 pops if at $10 a piece. And I don't know how they value, if it's valued at,
right,
even if it's half that.
Right.
But, man, thinking about it now, I don't think I saw... I walked the whole dealer room at NJCC, and it used to be, I'm not going to say it wasn't pop heavy, but there definitely were pops there. I don't know that I saw somebody with a wall of pops for sale. I'm pretty sure I did. I'll have to double check. I'll ask, Brink listened, so Brink confirm that for me. But
if it's waning in popularity, perhaps.
And it's funny because I don't know if Kelly sold her pops to Eternia Dreams for less than market value, but still a decent. She got 4 figures for them. Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. She had some older stuff, some complete sets of older stuff. But at the same time, Mason has boxes of Suicide Squad pops in storage that I think one of them is worth $20 and the rest are worth $5.
Right.
And what is he going to get for those?
Have you checked my Plastic Man? What my Plastic Man is worth? Funko.
Oh, well, we can find out real quick. I will. Funko, all this shitty business practices aside, there was a third party had created a price guide for pops that basically took eBay sales data and a couple other sites and, made a value for these figures. And Funko bought the site. So it's their data now. But the way Kelly sold these is you go on that site, create an account or a wallet or whatever, say this is what I've got, and then she was able to send that to the people who bought the stuff, and they knew exactly what it was without her even having to bring it in.
Right.
But I don't know, man. I mean, you name it, there's a freaking Funko Pop for it. I guarantee you, there's not much in here in your collection room that we're in right now where there's not at least a pop of every character in here.
Right.
And dozens of Batman and Joker and Harley and Wolverine, Star Wars. It's ridiculous. Yep. And it seems like every time you're like, well, I'm just going to get the pops from this particular, I'm just going to get the pops from The Office. Well, they make the Michael. Then they make the Michael with his foot on the grill, which actually, that's one of the 2 pops I own. And they just keep on.
They got 30 seasons of stuff to choose from.
Exactly.
So long.
It's so long.
Characters had left.
It was
new
incredible.
Characters came in. You were less attached to those.
That's right. And nobody needs a Nellie Bertram pop. But I would not be surprised to see other retailers do something similar.
Toys for Tots better be fucking filled to the brim. That's all I got to say.
For sure.
If you can throw all this shit away instead of giving it or fucking donating it or something that is still a tax write-off, you know, like all of these places where they got like fucking poor kids and shit, they better be up to their gills in fucking pops.
Yep.
Is my thoughts on that.
Exactly.
And I say that with no business knowledge whatsoever, so take that for what it's worth also.
Well, that would, you'd think that would still be a charitable donation, would still be a write-off, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, why did they not? That's a good point, Bobby. I didn't think about that. Why did they not partner with some organization to get these?
It could have been a fucking a rollout.
Yeah.
You know?
They could have turned that into positive press by saying Funko to donate $36 million worth of product to Toys for Tots.
100%. So more developments in the Jonathan Majors stuff. His attorney released these text messages. Have you looked at them?
I have not seen them, no.
So I looked at them. It's just the woman texting him. I'm going to read you what she wrote, okay? This is woman's at 6 p.m., okay? Please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. They said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. I only just got out of the hospital. Just call me when you're out. I love you. No response.
Okay.
9:30.
Because he was in jail. Bobby, you don't get to respond when you're unless I don't know. I guess you could get a phone pretty quick. But
9:32 p.m. She says Same night.
Still in jail.
They just called again to check on me, and I reiterated how this was not an attack, and they do not have my blessing on any charges being placed. I read the paper and they gave me about strangulation, and I said point blank that did not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told this. She ensured this to me. I know you have the best team, and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out, and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior, out of care. She promised that would be relayed. So here's the thing, is I think this came out, obviously, from his lawyer to make him look better, but I'm not sure that it does.
I don't know, man.
When you say, like, they had to arrest you because they knew we had a fight and they saw my injuries, I'm like,
I mean, he's a big dude. Just got done playing a fucking boxer, so he's a big dude.
And like, look, innocent until proven.
Who called the cops? Did somebody else call the cops?
He did. He called the cops.
Interesting.
But like, the thing is like, wait till all the information is out and everything else. But like, to me, it just seemed like a weird thing. I'm like, this doesn't sound good. No, for me reading it, and I'm sure, like, look, there's a number of corporate interests at this point that are going to do everything they can to make sure that the next 3 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe are completely protected.
Damn, Kang really is a badass.
Yeah,
I still haven't seen that.
Yeah, but like, it's just. And I think, I'll be honest, like, I think he makes a great Kang. I loved his performance as Kang, but I think he's 100% replaceable.
Yeah,
he's 100% replaceable. But I depending on, you do the crime, you do the time, and all that kind of stuff. But like, I don't know, and I'm not saying how I feel about it, but I do feel like this was done as like a PR thing. And when I read it, I was like, if I don't have a law degree. You may be aware of that, but I wouldn't have released this.
No, I don't think that's a good direction to go.
All right, and then so Across the Spider-Verse trailer, I need to watch it real quick. All right, so the Spider-Verse thing, I think it does look like more of the same, but I think it looks good. Looks like
it does. I'm excited to
more
watch
good stuff of the same good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
The quips and the character stuff and the heart of family stuff and all the, I think it all works. I think it all looks like it's on
B in Spanish.
Yeah, it was great.
That was funny.
It was great.
The reaction of his parents is like great, and it's the voice acting. I think is really good in it.
I agree.
I mean, the parents. I think whoever's voicing them does a great job. I just hope there's some surprises along the way, and it's not just here's everything, because they did basically give you all the character designs as toys recently. I mean, we looked at them this week on ETR. So, even I kind of thought they would make the toys more along the lines of fitting in with your Marvel Legends, but now it's like the Spider-Man 2099. He's a big
the proportions.
Yeah. He's a, what did Jose said it was? He's got bar muscles. Just when you're sitting at the bar, you see that like he skipped leg day or whatever. But
like animated series stuff,
Yeah, it is. And then like is it the Spot? Is that the character's name?
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with them at all.
No,
but
me neither.
Looks like it'll be kind of a comedy,
fun
goof thing.
Yeah, I'm good with that. And then Secret Invasion. So it seems like my concern about Secret Invasion is going to come to fruition.
What's that?
That a TV show is just not the right way to do it.
Okay.
It looks boring to me.
I think it's going to be a lot more like political, not even political, just more of an intrigue kind of show, the spy side of things.
I agree. But I don't know if that's the right format. And I'm saying this all without seeing it, of course.
Sure.
I don't know if that's the right format for Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion to me should be like a story about like, you don't know which character you can trust and who's who and all that kind of stuff. But it just seems like Samuel Jackson against the world. Maybe
they're just laying out how all that works, because I think it might be a little jarring. I mean, yeah, if you saw Captain Marvel, which that was 4 years ago now. Yeah. If you saw Captain Marvel, you have the general idea that Krennic is a Skrull. I don't know his name in the show. Right. And I'll be honest with you, like I have not ever read those books. It always seemed a little foreign to me, just at looking from that, because I don't know. So maybe this is, and you may hate it because and people who know that so well may just be like, why are you telling us?
Right.
Because like you're trying to get normies to watch this shit,
which is fine.
Like,
but even in like the lineup for like the future of Marvel, I don't see anything else related to them.
I don't know.
If this was like an introduction and like an event was coming where like, shit like, Gamora being a Skrull, because we thought she was dead and now she's back, but it's really a Skrull. Shit like that. Like,
I mean, maybe we'll get maybe you're predicting the future for the next movie here.
But I feel like we don't see any indication that there's more Skrull stuff.
I mean, yeah, you're right, and it's almost like they left it alone too long, because they planted those seeds in
Captain Marvel,
which I honestly don't.
Which happens back in the 90s.
Yeah.
So theoretically they could have been here since then.
All of our heroes could be Skrulls.
Correct.
Literally every single one of them. So I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how it works.
I hope this isn't it.
Yeah. I mean, in the trailer, like, I guess there's a difference between a trailer for a TV series and a trailer for a movie. I don't know exactly what they are, but this seems more like a movie trailer to me.
Yeah, I agree.
The way it was put together.
I agree.
Because it seems to be a lot of the same. There wasn't a lot of variation in setting or color palette. It was all just very, like you said, appearing to be boring.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was watching that this morning while me and Charlie were waiting on the bus, and she said, "What happened to his eye?" I said, "It got scratched out by a space cat."
Yeah.
He's like, "What?"
And then Blue Beetle.
Yes.
So I'm more curious as to your thoughts.
I prefer the Black Beetle song by I'm just kidding.
I prefer the Beatles, just the Beatles in general.
Look, I don't know the character at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kid from, I guess he's one of the child leads in the Karate Kid Cobra Kai series.
Uh-huh.
And then who was there was an older woman who was that in it.
No, it doesn't matter to me.
I don't know. It was some like named actress that was.
No kidding.
Well, it wasn't. It just wasn't any geek off the street.
Right. No, I got you.
I don't know, man.
Well, giving them names now, are they?
It's kind of got the same kind of. It seems to be the same setup as everything. Oh, I found this mysterious thing. What is it? It's a beetle that, and then I'm gonna be goofy and figure out how to use this suit. I don't know. It's got George Lopez in it. I like George Lopez. Man.
So to me, this is the most Marvel-looking DC movie trailer that I feel like I've ever seen.
You think so?
To me, like it just seems like, when you watch trailers for even Black Adam.
Yeah, I'm looking up who this actress is.
It doesn't look like a trailer for a Marvel movie. The action looks different. the cinematic element of it looks different. Like, but this looks like Ant-Man 3.
It's Susan Sarandon is the actress.
Okay. This looks like Ant-Man 1. This looks like, like it just looks like a fucking Marvel movie to me. And that's just, and I know it's part of the James Gunn experience and all that. And like, I'm just not fucking interested.
Right.
Like, I don't want it all to feel the same. And I think the more that all of this shit starts to feel the same, the quicker the fatigue is going to really start setting in.
Yeah.
Just like you said, like, it's the same fucking thing. The guy finds the such and such, becomes such, and then there's some goofy antics along the way. And to be fair, Blue Beetle's a bit of a goofy character. He's like a Spider-Man-esque kind of goof character. And there's a cool dynamic between him and Booster Gold.
So that's, and so is a Booster Gold show coming?
So
yes,
I think it's a show because he comes from the future and he's like,
he's like a dork in the future, and
but he tries to say he's like the big hot shot from the, you know what I mean? But like, there's a cool dynamic between those two, and it is goofy and it is funny, and you could make the argument that this movie is the right movie to have Marvel goofiness in it. You could make that argument, and that would be a sound argument, but it just looks like the whole format is just copied. Like they just found, it's like they found the fucking playbook somewhere,
right? And
we're just like, oh, all right, step one. A character introduction, show the family dynamics, and have a couple of fun quips.
Right.
Establish that the character isn't really understood, and he's a bit on his own until he finds this thing that gives him magical. Like, you know what I mean? It's just it's like just the whole everything, like the humor, the cinematic look of it, like the cinematography, like the whole thing just screams Marvel.
I will say that like it looked good. Like the special effects, everything.
Yeah,
everything was well done. All the digital effects.
I agree. And that's all for notes. I mean, I'll see it. I'm going to watch this James Gunn shit pretty closely.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out.
We do have a couple of write-ins this week, and if you would like to send a question in,
you can email us at nerdrageradiomail@gmail.com.
So, Dreadhawk.
Well, hello, Dreadhawk.
He wrote in.
Is that a season 5 Transformer? I'm not aware of.
Probably.
Okay.
It makes me think about like
or is it something from Image Comics?
A Marvel character as well, like that Hawk character that has like
Darkhawk.
Darkhawk.
Is it Dark? No,
it's something like that.
What is it?
It might be Darkhawk.
I can see. I don't know.
Star Wars reboot. He says, it is the future, and Disney has long ago run Star Wars into the ground. A new reboot is planned, and they have decided to start with the prequels. You are given the power to change 2 things. What do you change? He gives his answer. We have time, so we'll go ahead and read it. He says, first, Anakin needs to be around 15 years old in the first episode. It avoids the problem with the child actors and gives more time for the romance to naturally and mutually develop. No forced romance in the second, and we would get to see the characters we came to love from the Clone Wars animated series in live action. Second, when he leaves his mother, Anakin promises to return for her in the support of Obi-Wan. With the support of Obi-Wan. In episode 2, there needs to be scenes that make it very clear that the Jedi Council prevent Anakin from returning to his mother to avoid attachments. His mother's death becomes the catalyst for the future turn. The rage and insanity that filled him with her death become even more understandable, and every interaction with the Council will be seen from embittered eyes. So I think this is a good question. I think it's a fun question. But
So
let's do.
Hang on, let me make sure I understand the premise. We're gonna
reboot it. They're gonna basically keep it the
from
same
episode 1.
but we're gonna change 2 things. But let's do that for all 3 trilogies.
Okay.
So starting with the prequels.
Okay.
We'll go off.
I've got
go
one.
for it. Go for it.
Darth Maul doesn't die in the first movie.
100% agree.
Even if he gets cut in half and you see his hand move just a little bit, because we know it ends up happening anyways.
Yep.
But to have him, and honestly, just have. Could you imagine? Count Dooku back to back with Maul fighting Obi-Wan and Anakin and Mace, or if he had been in Geonosis when they brought in the clones.
So, not killing Darth Maul is also one of mine.
Is it really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's the first thing that came to mind. That and more sand.
He should, yes, more sand, of course. He should have been, the Vader of that series. He should have been the villain at the end that Anakin had to topple.
Right, but still being puppeteered by Palpatine. Yeah.
Yep.
What's the second one? Let me think. I kind of dig his idea of Anakin not being a kid.
That's my second one also.
I kind of like, even if he had been like 12 and not, or I don't know, how old is he supposed to be? Like 8? Something like that?
Yeah, I think he's 10 in the first one and 14 maybe.
Yeah,
in the
let's bump that
or
up.
no, or maybe 19 in the second. I think he's 19 in episode 3, and that might be 3
like
years.
16
so 16 in the second.
So let's start him out at 14.
Yeah.
And then keep Padme right around the same age.
Yeah, I'm good with that too.
Because it's just so awkward.
If I had to change it, but yeah, not only that, but it's like child acting is hard.
Mm-hmm.
They chose possibly not the best choice for a child actor, and then they definitely didn't choose the right director to work with a child actor because George Lucas is not a good acting director anyway.
Right.
So I think starting him at 15, already seeing like that he's got this dark side to him, like an angry kid growing up as a slave.
Yeah,
like all
he's going to have more of an attitude by the time they find him.
Correct. I think
But the only bad. Well, you look at it this way. They said he was too old to train when he came in at 10. Are they going to say the same thing at 14? Or are they not even going to let him take him on as a Padawan?
Yeah,
that's the question there.
Well, you just change. You know what I mean? That can all, because that's all bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like, but like they and I always thought in that time period, it's so funny because you don't really get that anymore with just the way the movies are made, specifically with a powerhouse like Disney behind it. But like, it used to be a 3-year wait, right? And like, I remember thinking like, man, like he's going to come back for his mother and found out that Watto killed her. Or Watto, and he's going to fucking cut the bug's head off, and then that's going to be it,
Dinner.
That's going to be the beginning of it. But yeah, I think, and if I had to change a third thing, it would be to change the dynamics of the Gungans in general. I'm okay with keeping them, and I'm okay with Jar Jar as a character, but not Goofy from Mickey Mouse's Clubhouse,
So I have one other, if we were going to do 3.
Dexter also speaks in his native tongue.
No, he does. I don't like it when he pulls his pants up. That's the one. No. It is that Qui-Gon either doesn't die or Qui-Gon is immediately a Force ghost for Obi-Wan.
Okay, I'm good with that too.
Yeah. Okay. So you said you want to do the
original trilogy,
the OT.
Yep.
No Ewoks.
Yeah. Or change or
make them more
formidable.
Aggressive. Yeah. I mean, I know Wookiees. They didn't want to do Wookiees because C-3PO or I'm sorry, Chewie was
right.
He
technologically advanced.
Is he like me? Forrest. He's smart.
But like change the dynamics of what they are and not little cuddly bears.
Yeah.
And make them fucking cool.
That'd be one for me.
That's one for me too.
Wow. Let's see. Maybe we should try to get this job.
Yeah.
What else would I change? Well, I don't know. Let me think.
So mine is a bit of a cheat, but where I'm working with the current versions that we have, right?
Yeah, and that's part of what I was just going through my head. It's like, well,
so I would get rid of that song and dance number in Jabba's palace. Like
from the
fucking hate it. Oh, DJ, hold up. Oh, DJ. Like I get that shit the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And I know this would change the dynamic of everything, and this is selfish, but don't kill Obi-Wan in the first episode. Let him die maybe in the second episode. Spread that part out a little bit, but then of course you got to deal with how do you turn off when he was talking to him when he was shooting womp rats on the space station.
Yeah. There's a cool thing too of like just a question, not saying it's better or worse, just raising it as a discussion of like, how is Star Wars different if, the Emperor killed Obi-Wan and Vader watched that and that started his kind of like, wait a minute, like, I don't know how I feel about that. I still fuck with this dude.
I got one more.
Okay.
I think part of the reason episode 4 works so well from the Empire side is you have the Emperor in charge, but then you have Vader and Tarkin kind of bickering about who's in charge. And I think you could have not had
Do you feel in charge?
Do you feel in charge? Not had Tarkin die. Had him, escape somehow as well. And
Yeah.
because I just think it's funny now, seeing what they've done with the character after years later.
Yeah.
I think there's just so much more meat in them. And there's been a book written. I think there's a lot more to him you could probably have done. That would be the difference there.
I think also to go back to the prequel one for a bit, if you started with Anakin as a mid-teenager, you could get to the Attack of the Clones at the end of the first movie, and then the second movie could be the Clone War.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's a great call out.
There was a cool idea, like George Lucas's idea for the Clone Wars was a fucking cool idea, because like his thought was Episode 2 starts the beginning of the Clone Wars, and then for 3 years you have to wait for the final chapter, the closing of the Clone Wars. And during those 3 years, there's going to be video games, comic books, novels, etc., that you read that are all in continuity. That it's like you as a audience member are going through the Clone Wars for 3 years.
Yeah,
and that is a cool fucking idea. And then of course the sequels.
Oh man,
I know my two for this as well.
Give me one of yours and let me see what.
Palpatine does not return.
Okay, that's a slam dunk. Well, I think we could even sit that on we'll put that pussy on a pedestal. I think we can probably come up with two more. I know. I don't, and I know why they did it, but like.
So we're taking that out, and I'm doing two more because I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, hang on. I'm getting a thought together here, and it's so. Here we are. Let's say that we're making 9 movies. We've done, and we're ready. We're done with the original trilogy. We're at we're ready to start episode 7. Are we recast? Are we going to use? Are we telling the story with the original the cast from episode 4, 5, and 6 involved? Because as like
a continuation of their adventure as opposed to new characters,
right?
Well, so I mean, it's that you get to choose that if you'd like. I think the problem with that is, because here's the thing, right? Had those movies been received differently, there would have been 10, 11, and 12 before you fucking knew it.
Sure,
with the continuation
of
those characters, which is why I think they were trying to get a new batch. A bad batch.
Yeah,
in some ways.
That's probably what they did. I would say, don't use the legacy characters in the way they were used.
Okay. So one of my first one is I think that Rey should have been a Solo.
Okay.
I think that changed the whole dynamic. It changes the whole dynamics of everything with her, and I think a lot of people wanted to be a Skywalker. I wouldn't hate that either, but I think that. If you look at every time I go back, because the truth is now, like hindsight's 2020, right? Like they didn't know.
Yeah. Nobody
Nobody knew what she was going to be.
Right.
They were kind of like just putting it out there and just going to see where the chips fell. And but a lot of the fucking marketing, like with Kylo and her being like two sides of one coin and everything, like I just think that there was something far more interesting as a possibility to have done there with her as a Solo.
Well, and it also gives a what did Lucas say? We're telling everything's going to rhyme.
Right.
You could have had a brother and sister that didn't know it again.
Correct. And also it gives with her survival.
Yeah.
It continue, like the Skywalker Solo line survives.
Yeah.
So like the legacy continues.
So if we don't have, if on our pussy on the pedestal is the Emperor is not returning, then no Snoke. Right.
That's no, I'm okay with Snoke.
Okay. Well, why would, so this is the part that gets complicated. We've taken this part, somehow Palpatine returns out of the story. What was the point of Snoke being there?
So I'm glad you asked that. So, so because I can talk about,
I've been waiting to talk about this one.
I can talk about like just from, and it's part of the fun with Star Wars trilogies is like getting to theorize and getting to, but like, so in episode 8, Luke is in that like original Jedi temple, right? Like the first Jedi temple. And you see on the floor, there's like this alien creature, like with a big head and long skinny limbs with its hand up in the air. And to me, the way to do that is he was supposed to be the first Jedi that that thing on the floor. You make that Snoke.
So I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
You know, and then Snoke has come back after all these years, has hated everything that he's watched from the sidelines, and now he's vengeful and everything else. My second reboot or retcon for this would be Kylo, and it's kind of borrowing from Jason Solo from the novels, but Kylo turns to Snoke. Right after doing what he does at the temple, he turns to Snoke. And
would you hang on a sec? Would you show all of that action as part of the movie as well? Okay.
I would in a flashback, but I would. But he does this all because like you and I would show a little bit more of the politics. You know, bring that element in from the prequels and show not a ton, but a little bit more of how there's new bureaucracy, like kind of like what. You know, Mando is kind of showing, you know, in a way, but there's new red tape down. There's new politics to the situation. And, you know, like the thing at the end of episode 9 where the whole galaxy unites again, that is a good moment. That's a good thing to do. But in my mind, you take Kylo, he witnesses all this from the viewpoint of a kid raised by a mother who wanted to be a queen and a father that wanted to be a Rolling Stone, let's say.
Sure.
You know, and he's kind of left to his own devices, and all he sees is the frustration of what this new republic has become. Right. So he traded in his parents. He gave his parents up and his uncle. His only family structure, he gave them all up so that they could build a future, and the future is getting shitty.
Right.
So he turns to the dark side, and he's viewed as a villain, but in the end, it's revealed, you know, and somehow. He says it in dialogue or whatever, that he did it all to give them an enemy to unite against, and it brings the Republic back together. Man,
that's some good storytelling there.
You know, and that's like his sacrifice, you know?
I like that. Yeah, I think that's definitely a great story beat to put that in there, you know, and it's funny to watch, like in The Mandalorian, for example, like when he goes and visits you know, they didn't sign up to be part of the new, we can't help them.
Right.
There's something going on out there. And that guy, I can't wait for him to say, I told you.
Right.
I told you.
Right.
Look at all them ships. Who paid for that shit? Where'd they come from? They got fucking, I mean, and that's a good question. So thanks for sending that in.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, Dreadhawk.
5th generation Transformer.
Paul C. He said, what are some things in your life that have been a ritual? Things where if you don't do them or prepare to do them in the same way, you just feel off about it. And then so let's answer that. He has a couple of other ones.
Oh gosh.
I kind of relate to it, but let's just establish that.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say mine. I'm not exactly sure this is what he's getting at, but before I go to bed, I have to touch every doorknob in my house to make sure it's locked. I have to physically do it myself. I can't trust that someone else has done it, or I won't go. If I lay down and I think about it, I'll just get up and do it anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely one.
Yeah,
mine is my morning routine. Like specifically for days that I'm working. Yeah, but like I have to do everything exactly the same. And if I miss one thing, if I miss step 2, 3 through 33, fucked.
Right.
Fucked. But as long as I do everything, I get up at the same time. I get in the shower.
You're a very regimented person.
I brush my teeth. I floss. Floss. But like, you know, and then like I put my clothes on a certain way, and then I go downstairs. I do this one thing on the computer, and then I do this other thing, and then I pack my bag, and then I have to do it all sequentially, or I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So then he continues to ask, Pinkerton, did you have a pre-match ritual before you stepped into the ring?
Gum, squirt bottle, and depending on who I was wrestling, I would rub Ambisol on my chest. Because if I knew it was going to be a chop fest, it just helps you out. Just it numbs your chest just a little bit.
Interesting.
Because, you know, you're basically just getting slapped as hard as somebody can in the chest for 10 minutes. And I actually found one of my matches my brother-in-law had burnt a tape. It was actually, I don't think it was the last match I had, but it was close. And, oh, man, it was me and my buddy Chris that actually, the kid grew up around the corner from me. He used to cut through our yard. Lo and behold, I show up at a wrestling show, and he's like, where do you live? like we can see each other's houses from each other. So we
Right,
became
right,
pretty
right.
good friends. There's a match with him, and we're like, I'm giving him like 2-handed slap down chops, and he's giving them right back to me. And I distinctly remember doing that. But yeah, that was really it. You know, stretching a little bit, doing some. I had everybody use the. I don't know what you call them, the rubber
bands,
to pump up a little bit and try not to kill myself. Mainly my goal.
And then he says, Bobby, do you have any ritual before going on a mopping job? So it depends because we do different types of mopping.
Sure.
But like, you know, in terms of like my protective mopping chemical suits, you know, I put them on a particular way. I do it the same way every time, you know, and I've done that now for 16 years, putting it on exactly the same way. You know, and it's like, sometimes depending on the kind of chemicals that we're using for certain floors, it's a lot of shit that you got to wear.
I can imagine.
And it's one of those things where it's like, it can take a long time.
Yeah.
And it also, it's easy to forget a step, you know, but I've been doing it the exact same way for so, you know, that like, you know, I can do it in probably 90 seconds and, you know, I can fucking, you know, and I never miss a beat, you know, knock on wood.
Mopping question. Have you ever had to clean up somebody else has tried to fix this mopping situation and you've had to go back behind them and do it correctly up to standards or whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Is that pretty common?
No. I'm pretty fortunate that where I am, a lot of the other kind of competitors in the area, are pretty. Or they're. Don't tell them I said this, of course,
sure.
But they're pretty good at what they do.
Okay.
But every now and then you run a goof troop that just you can tell they're trying to take the easy way out, or you know, approaching it from the lowest common denominator perspective.
Did I ever tell you that I have a mopping story?
Do you really?
Literally about mopping floors. So when I worked at the Piggly Wiggly in lovely Harvest, Alabama, rest in peace to the Piggly Wiggly. Yep, you were right about that. Yep. Hey, that old lady's going to try to steal tobacco today. You should keep an eye on her. And she would, and I'd catch her. Anyways, so part of the bag boy job I had was we didn't have a mopping machine. Mm-hmm. We had a buffer, but that was it.
Not like one of those like Zamboni type.
Right. We had a floor buffer, which was literally like
you hold it with two hands.
Yeah, and hold on for dear life into the floor. So every night we had, I think 3 nights a week, we mopped the entire store. Once a week we polished we waxed and polished the floor.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we took a lot of pride in that. So I knew how to mop. You know, I'd gotten all the S pattern.
You got the Z pattern. You got the back and forth down, front and back.
Years later, I'm managing a Blockbuster Video. I was in the film industry, and I had hired this young man. He had never worked before. And at that kind of job, oftentimes it's better to hire someone who had never worked before because they don't have any bad work habits. Mm-hmm. It's just a young guy. I think he was a senior in high school. Super nice kid. He actually went on to be, I think he works in New York City in an investment firm in some capacity. So good on him. I'm like, all right, we got a mop. We had most of the store was carpeted. We had like our foyer was tile, and then behind the counters was tile. I'm like, all right, we'll spot mop once a week, and we spot mop every night, and then once a week we really got a mop. So it's really got a mop night, and I'm closing with this kid, and it's kind of I'm gonna have to stand up to explain this. So we're mopping, right?
Right.
And this kid has the mop out at full distance and is trying, it's like he's scared of where it's contacting the earth.
Right.
And he's trying to move it around like, I don't even know what he was doing. And it's just always stuck with me that, you don't know how to mop? And I got just like, well, I guess I learned how to mop at the Piggly Wiggly. You never worked at the Piggly Wiggly as a bag boy?
It is interesting. Like mopping tends to attract young people to it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see people come in and, you know, in their 20s and you're like, man, like you don't really know how to turn a stove on.
Right.
You know, like just little things that you just haven't quite got under your belt yet.
Sure.
You know, All right. And then he says, Joe, do you always have a diet due when you record NRR? So I'll answer for him. Not always.
But most of the time.
Most of the time.
He actually, I don't know if he has any here. He used to keep them here.
He does keep a
There's
stack
actually a
here.
case at my house, too.
Yeah, he keeps a stack here. But every now and then he'll have like some kind of energy type drink.
So he drinks the White Monsters, too.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
well, everybody knows what a White Monster is.
Oh, they sure do.
Yeah, buddy. It's 4 inches of fun.
And then he says, do you sniff your toys when you crack open a new box?
I often do.
I do not.
I enjoy the smell of. It's like smelling a new pair of shoes. It's smelling the glue.
I pick it up, but like I'm not going after it.
Fans toys always had a nice
100%.
And I think part of it is
McFarlane toys are the most notorious in my opinion. Not the new ones, but like the old school ones. It just smelled like raw plastic, and like it was in the paint and everything.
I opened something recently, and I was like, whoa. It might have been those new age toys, those little Transformers.
Oh yeah,
they might have had a little bit of a.
He says if you can't think of any rituals, which were, are there any parts of your life that have set a routine? When you come home from work, do you need to decompress in a specific way before you feel ready? Do you always wash your hands? Do you always wash your ass before sex? I do not wash my ass always before sex.
I don't either.
But I love it when I have.
I often know when I need to do that. So, as far as coming home, like
yeah,
if I've been on a trip, like. I walk in the door with my suitcase, whatever. I'm like, hey, tell everybody hi. Give me 10 minutes to get my shit unpacked. Probably need to take a piss. Might need to take a shit. Might need to wash my ass for future endeavors.
Yeah.
While I'm back there, give me. And I'll tell you something. Like decompressing on the drive home, people don't realize how powerful that is. So. Mm-hmm. For years and years, I worked retail in a job, whether in video stores or the. Auto parts. And most of the time I was a 20-minute drive to get 15, 20 minutes to get to work, 15, 20 minutes to get home. I started working at a location, the last Advance Auto I worked at, the location 5 minutes from my house came available. Like, I want to work there. That's it. And it's as close as I can get. Although I enjoyed working there, I missed like hell that decompression time. Because I literally, by the time I got in the car, I played one song on the radio. To the point where sometimes I'm like, I'm just gonna drive for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I have a 40-minute commute to work.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah,
it's perfect. But when I get home, so it's changed now. But when I get home, I come into the mudroom. I put my backpack on the shelf. I put my shoes upside down on top of it. I do the exact same thing every time. I come in. I drop my lunch bag on the kitchen table, and then my dog is going nuts. So then my dog will run over to the love seat and wait for me. And I go over to the love seat and I sit down. I finish my cup of coffee and my travel mug that I've been bringing home and pet the dog. And I look through the eBay listings while I just sit there for just a minute and hang out with the dog. This is what I do every time I come home from work.
Nice. That stuff's important, man. And I think I definitely need to get more routine in my life. I think that's something I definitely can do better with.
There was another thing I wanted to add real quick about this episode 9 retcon.
Oh, sure. We could do this for days, probably.
It's just that like the whole thing would be about the true nature of the Jedi for me.
Okay.
So like in episode 8, Luke, what happens with him, like I want to keep all that.
Okay.
And I want that to be like Snoke was the first Jedi. He hates the way that the whole Force has been used since then. Luke becomes the first Jedi that we've ever seen, a true Jedi, and and then it encompasses all of like, what does the Force mean? What does it mean to be a Jedi? What does it mean to be a Sith? What does it mean to be a dark side user or a gray, like any of that stuff? Like I want it all to be kind of focusing on like that idea of how far the Jedi and Force users in general have kind of gotten off the beaten path.
So here's another,
and then that's why it ties into Kylo using bad for good,
right,
and people using good,
and
then showing back to the prequel era of people using good for bad, and all that shit like kind of coming to a head.
Another interesting thing to play with would be Order 66, not having that happen, or it being something different. Whereas you have more Jedi that are in the world to continue, I think it might help build the story you're trying to tell a little
and
bit
even
more.
Showing Vader taking more of an act in the Purge, of it not just being clone troopers that turn, but like, getting to see Vader, like, because in my mind before, the prequels and before Order 66, in my mind, Vader hunted them all down.
Yeah.
Like, because Obi-Wan says like, you're, like it was like Vader was like this like assassin, you know, but he didn't have to sneak around the shadows because he was just that badass.
Bobby, do you know who Chris Benoit is?
That name sounds familiar.
He's the pro wrestler who killed himself, his wife, and his kid.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. So someone sent me
Not just the women, but the children.
Yeah. And there's some sketch around the whole thing.
Right,
like there's
right,
parts of it that don't make any sense. There's I think a 2-part Dark Side of the Ring about it. Anyways, someone sent me a little meme. It was an Anakin right there where he turns on his lightsaber with the younglings. And Chris Benoit's entrance music plays.
Yikes.
I think it was Matt H, so it's on brand.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll say this too, that like I forgot just that quick.
Talking about Star Wars.
Yeah. It was something about something that Gary always said that he wanted to see in the prequels that we didn't really get to its full potential is this idea, and I love it. But this is Gary's idea, not mine. I just want to make that clear, of seeing Anakin as a naturally gifted Jedi, like the whole time, a naturally gifted Force user. Like,
okay.
You know, not everybody is born with, you know, Michael Jordan. You know, you only get those once every so many years or whatever. But like, he gives this example of like when Anakin is killing all the separatists and one of them gets one of the battle droids or something gets a shot off and he's like in the middle of something else, but he just throws his lightsaber behind his back to deflect it and then keeps on going. More stuff like that where it's like his body is being used by the Force. Like it's reflex. He doesn't even think about what he's doing. It all seems effortless, you know, like he is this natural God.
And then another way to take that info and to take that, no matter, you know, he gets chopped to pieces at the end at one point. There's really no reason Vader should have to be what he is. He could be you know, I get it. He's just a shell of a person, but look what Grievous was. Right. You've got the brain of the person, and there's no reason you couldn't have a bad shit acrobatic.
Yeah.
You know, or just being able to do more than take 2 steps and hold a saber out. Right. That was a great question.
It was. Our next one is from Kenneth R.
What's up?
Or Kenny R, I should say. Good morning, y'all. New to Patreon this year and want to let everyone who is on the fence know it's totally worth it.
Totes.
I believe you deliver great content that keeps me coming back day after day. Question, this may have already been covered. Which vendors do you deal with for your different collection hobbies? What are some examples of the best vendor relations and the worst involving price, shipping, communication, damaged goods, or refunds? So for import figures that are above grade, you know, meaning not like third party and stuff like that, I use HobbyLink Japan.
Okay.
Their customer service is great. You can cancel stuff now. They're like BBTS of Japan.
Gotcha.
Their prices are a little bit more expensive, but they're 100% reliable and dependable, and you pay when the product comes in as opposed to at pre-order, which is more uncommon over there.
Yeah.
And then domestically, I use BBTS for most of my other shit, and then I use Nick the Toy Guy, obviously, for all my Fans Toys purchases, and I use there's one other one, Sideshow, for different things. I use Sideshow for Hot Toys, obviously. I use Sideshow for sometimes for there's stuff that like Big Bad Toy Store will have, but they require a deposit and all that. So if I'm gonna get a deposit there, I'll probably just go with Sideshow because I can get reward points when the shit comes in.
Points. Yeah.
Sideshow carries a ton of shit, so I'll buy a lot of stuff from Sideshow, and that's pretty much the 4 places that I buy from.
So for me, it would be BBTS, Sideshow, Amazon. Like I pre-order like G.I. Joes and stuff like that. I pre-order Amazon, Hasbro Pulse. I still have the subscription. I was going to say prescription. It seems like it sometimes. Subscription to the premium. Yeah, it's paid for itself with the shipping. You know, free shipping, which Amazon offers too. And then like Mezco stuff, I normally don't order from them because I have points there. Although I'm having a little bit of a problem with my points there now. Long story, it's not worth telling, but. Yeah, I think that's really it. Like I've ordered some stuff from Show Z just to try it out. You know, it takes a while to get stuff, but price wise, it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I've never used them. I know their prices are reasonable.
Yeah, and I use Agabus from time to time.
Yeah, I will use Agabus from time to time as well. But the only nightmares customer service issue. I've had some other issues with retailers that weren't service related. It was sabotage related.
Oh boy.
But the only negative customer service, real significant negative customer service that I've ever bumped into was with TF Source. And it was probably fucking 8 years ago. And they've been, and actually I've had contact with them since for different things about, I've told this story before, but about shit they wanted to collaborate with me on, and none of it worked out. But they were super pleasant to deal with then. But other than that, I haven't had any real nightmare experiences. I have had nightmare sabotage experiences, but that's for another day. And then we have one from Matt B. He says, Ragers, long time no write. Not sure if this hit your radar. Probably has, and he was right, it has. But there's an artist named AIITTA that inserted an AI Jay-Z voice into his song. So what could this mean for the future of music? Could we get the new Beatles songs, new Jimi Hendrix songs, Michael Jackson? Take your pick, something to think about, like AI music.
Prophet of the faceless.
Yeah. So here's my thing about AI in general. I just think it all needs to be transparent.
Yeah.
Like I'm not scared of it. You know, I think there are people that are scared of it. I'm not scared of it. I think that I just saw this thing recently where like the government is trying to like put a stop to AI for a minute until they, I think the quote is like wrap our heads around it or some shit.
Like Italy banned ChatGPT apparently.
But the problem is that like when it comes to technology, right? If we put a stop to this for us, like we're taking a 5-year timeout, let's say, not to say that any of these countries are the ops.
Right.
But guess who isn't? China's not.
Right.
Russia's not.
Right.
Iran's not. Countries that have a complicated history with us are not going to take a timeout.
No.
And if that shit leads to something that gives them the advantage that we were too scared of to figure out, it's not good for us. So like, all of that shit, I just think it needs to be in regard to entertainment, right? If it, whether it be a painting or a digital art, whatever the case, or music or movies or whatever, it just needs to be upfront about what it is.
Right. I agree. I think transparency with it is paramount, and I think that's where a lot of people get upset about. I don't know that the goal is to fool anybody, or that the guy using Jay-Z's created vocals. Is he trying to say, "Oh no, it's Jay-Z,"
right?
Or is he just playing with this thing, seeing what he can come up with?
The interesting thing is going to be having like ownership and rights to your voice.
That's going to be something interesting.
If this guy, he types in the right stuff into the AI to generate the AI verse.
The song "The Right Stuff" by New Kids on the Block.
Yes,
and it comes out with Jay-Z's voice.
Dude, that shit is a bop. I still like that shit. But like, my favorite girl. That's my favorite New Kid on the Block song. But anyway, if he is typing into this thing exactly what he wants this AI to create for his song, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But if he puts it on iTunes and says like, Aida featuring Jay-Z, well, no, now you're not being honest.
Right.
And that that song is going to generate a certain amount of traffic that other songs by you are not, because of that name that's attached to it, and that's not fair.
Right.
And it's not honest, and it's not true.
Yeah.
More importantly, so it's like the interesting thing for me to see is how the record companies, because it's always cat and mouse, right?
Sure.
Napster, streaming, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so like the interesting thing to me will be to watch how these companies respond to it and try to rein it in. And it'll be a learning curve. Eventually, they'll learn that you can't. It always takes them a while to learn that, but then they have to figure out how to stop and regulate it, basically, which they will.
Yeah.
Because there's too much money riding on it, especially, the names like he's mentioning, institutional names, right? The Beatles and fucking Elvis and fucking Jimi Hendrix. Like, these are artists that are literally keeping the fucking lights on at certain houses. You know what I mean? So, like, they're not going to play with that.
Right.
I can guarantee you that.
One more thing. Speaking of business and whatnot, we didn't mention that WWE sold to a company called Endeavor, who also owns the UFC.
That's the Saudi Arabia company?
No, that didn't end up happening. So this is a company called Endeavor that owns the UFC already.
It's just like a monopoly almost.
Kind of. I mean, I've been saying that MMA is not necessarily as transparent about everything that's happening as maybe a little bit more WWE than we would like to imagine. But this is going to be an interesting. It seems like Vince McMahon has come back into some power along this process as well. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out over time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to get off my chest this week, and I don't.
You know what grinds my gears?
I did want to say that there about the thing about my work folks listening, which is fine, by all means listen in. But it was a valuable lesson for me too, and I think there's probably a ton of people out there that could learn this lesson. But you had to be accountable.
Sure,
you had to be accountable for what you say. Because sooner or later you could end up right in front of that person, and then you got to look them face. You got to stand in front of that.
Yep.
And not everybody's built to stand in front of that.
Nope, they're not.
Shout out to the rest of the cool table. Shout out to Joe who's on assignment, and shout out to anybody that listens to this. As far as I'm considered, you're part of the cool table. And with that, I guess I should shout out Dante on Facebook and Phil on Twitter in our notes, and Raul on Instagram. I need to write him. And Ricky Ticky Timber on the videos.
Yeah.
And with that,
Tasty Taint.
tight dick player.